Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today is November 28th, 2021. And we have our beautiful member, Crystal, here. We've invited Crystal, and we're doing a joint presentation with Positive Alien Agendas, Vancouver UFO and Positive Alien Agendas, because we wanted to give Crystal a bit more of an audience, if we could. She's got some very, very important predictions for us. She's been having a lot of contact, a lot of dreams, and I believe that a lot of the things that she's going to tell us today are super important for us to know in the coming days, months, year. And I think that she also has some weather predictions, and with everything going on in the world right now, it would be really good to have a listen. And a lot of her predictions have been correct in the past. So we're really happy to have you here, Crystal. And you can just take the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. It's been a while and it's good to see familiar faces. Thank you for coming. I'm going to just go into the screen share here. So the shift has hit the fan. So that's what we're all going through right now. We're going through a shift, and the shift is not just in the physical world. We're experiencing a shift that is interdimensional. So it ties in really strongly with the UFO ET phenomenon because we are being assisted, and also because we ourselves are interdimensional beings and we're beings of light. So I'm going to try to cover as much ground as I can. So let's go to this one. So who are we really? Are we really more than the five senses? So, you know, we are brought up to believe we are indoctrinated from birth to be told that we're the five senses, you know, that we are what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. But there's this awakening happening where we realize that there is more to reality than that world, that 3D world. Like so in my contact and my experiences with these beings, they began like their contact with me, explaining to me that 3D, like the five senses, is not what we are. It is not who we are. We are way more than that. There's a non-ordinary reality. That's what we would call, you know, reality that exists around us that we can't necessarily perceive unless we're using like our sixth sense, which is like our intuition, a third eye. And so like we've had that all along. It's just that things have been dumbed down. We've been like conditioned, and essentially we've been lied to and told that we are not what we really are. We are extremely powerful beings. We are extremely conscious. We are benevolent. We are light beings. That's all of us. Like that's the human race, you know. And so yeah, so non-ordinary reality is like an interdimensional reality that exists around us, and our scientists are beginning to just barely scratch the surface with things like string theory, quantum physics, and they are proving that reality is completely real. It's measurable. We're connected to it. We're connected to everything. So these beings, the multiverse is teeming with life. It is teeming with different life forms, different beings. Time and space, the way we see it, is not exactly how it works. When you go into interdimensional, say, even like interdimensional travel or things that time will speed up, slow down. It's like an elastic band. Like the reality around us that we think is solid is not solid. So it's like, it's about like empowering us to realize that there is so much more going on than just this three-dimensional perception of what we are and what's going on around us. So I call this conditioning the matrix. So it's like the movie The Matrix, and a lot of us know that there were things about that movie that were, it almost seemed like a little bit like a documentary in some ways, you know, like, and as we start to do our own personal awakening, we realize that we we uh we have these systems around us that keep us from knowing like the true nature of what we really are. And that is that we are interdimensional light beings. We're benevolent, and we have a soul. Our hearts are connected to each other, and in a massive web, we're connected to everything. So yeah, that's sort of what holds us back. Now, the other thing is that our pineal gland, so like our third eye, you know, through toxins and things in our food systems, that has been calcified. And that is our way of perceiving the other reality, the other multi-realities going on around us. So that's sort of why it's been attacked by different poisons and toxins in our environment and our system, food systems and water and things like that, and products, is because the forces or whatever, the beings that have set up, they are afraid of us, like realizing what we really are, and being able to sort of transcend these systems, the matrix, you know. So we are way more than just the five senses. There's a universe, a multiverse teeming with life around us, and we've basically been dumbed down and conditioned to not be able to perceive these other realities. And right now we're on this global awakening where everybody has started to see things differently and awaken from this slumber or the conditioning, because it's becoming obvious that something's not quite right in our reality right now on a global scale. So I'm gonna go into my next slide. And so now during this process, we have, I mean, all along we've had, like I said, beings have been around us, you know, forever. We've always had a multiverse existing around us. We just haven't necessarily been able to see it, or our consciousness hasn't been high enough to be able to accept it, see it, or interact with it. But we've been ascending or awakening into a higher consciousness and a higher vibration. So we're starting to be able to make contact with other beings, and not all of the beings that we see or experience are from other places. You know, there's other beings that are from other dimensions. There are things going on that we may not understand, but we're starting to be able to communicate more. Many of us are, many. So like one of the important roles, we have a collection or collective of beings that are from other places. They call themselves the intergalactic community. And I have met them and experienced contact with them, and they've shown me like their ships, and they've shown me what they look like, and they've shown me different like different ways that they, like, how would I explain this now? It seems like a lot of them have technology that is like way beyond what we understand, and that um they under it's like they have different ways of traveling through time or through like multi-dimensional spaces, and they can present themselves like as an orb or as a physical form, or different, like they have different ways of presenting themselves. And so as our consciousness rises, and as we realize that we are also multi-dimensional beings, we are becoming able to like to uh, make contact with all of these different beings, uh, and we're doing that now. We are really on like a global scale. We are really breaking free from the matrix. So there's people who are abductees and contactees, and there's many of us like who have met each other through these groups, and we have been given messages and warnings, so they match. A lot of them match, um, and that's like a huge important phenomenon that there hasn't been very much coverage about. And a lot of like UFO researchers or people who research things more on the scientific side, they seem to speak for the contactees and abductees. And so we've almost been silenced to an extent where we have other people who've never experienced it who speak for us, and so our voices get drowned out by that. And we've been able through these kind of small groups to talk to each other and realize that we have these matching visions, dreams. We have so many things that are matching. There's just it's not a coincidence at all. It's like we were tapping into the same field. It's like we have the same mission, the same jobs. Like we're here to do things to help push this along. We're here to help. We are connecting to, different civilizations. We're connecting to information that's coming in, and it's coming in the same for a lot of us. So a lot of us are getting prophetic dreams and contact dreams. So the way that I believe our ascension works is that it starts in the dream space. So we get psychic visions, psychic dreams, prophetic experiences, and we also get contact. So we meet beings from other places, from other dimensions. We meet loved ones who have passed away, and it becomes more frequent, and it becomes more almost like another reality when you go to sleep. You're having the visions, you're having the dreams, you're having contacts, and that is what's going on. There are so many people who are experiencing this right now, and a lot of people, it's scary for them. They see dark visions, dark dreams. They see dark things. They see good things as well, but it's like trying to learn how to drive a vehicle. Like we're just we're just learning how to drive this third eye because it's just waking up, right? And we had it all along, but we are actually on a global scale waking up together. So a lot of us aren't sure what exactly it means, but it is important that we talk about it. It's important that the information comes out, because what I believe, what my theory is, that there's a little bit of help coming from other civilizations who may have genetically modified some of the people and put in some altercations to DNA to make some of us a little bit more psychic, a little bit more tuned in, just so that we could be the first ones to pioneer this ascension and help others around us, directly or indirectly. We hold a frequency, the high frequency, the new earth frequency. We're holding that frequency while the others are learning and waking up and going through their ascension process. The other thing I wanted to mention is like the ascension process is a clearing. So we begin with like our conditioning. We go through the things that that hold us back psychologically, baggage, trauma. And so it's a process. It's not instant. There is clearing that has to happen so we can go up to these higher vibrational fields, and we're not holding on to like dense negative energy, trauma and pain and suffering. So I think, in my opinion, some of us have, chosen on a soul level to come here into a hybrid body, and we have been doing what we can to hold the new frequency while we also clear our own traumas and our own experiences that held us back. It's like we woke up too. Some of us didn't know like who we were, but we're remembering it now. We feel activated. For me, I know for sure like what I'm here for, what I'm doing. But it was a process for me. It took like a year of waking up to realize, okay, so this is the big story, because we know that there's things that are wrong, but they're pushing us. They're pushing so many of us into like a positive self development, like into our ascension. It's pushing us, and we have no choice. We've got to go up, because if we go into this sort of darker energy, then like a lot of us know, at least intuitively, even like we know that this is going to get really, really ugly. And so we're activated. And I think that that is why this is allowed to happen. And that's why this is happening. And I'm going to go into it a little bit more. So this is the global shift into consciousness. Now, what I've been seeing through my visions and contact events, and what I'm being told about, is that originally there's been 3 timelines. And one of the timelines is, well, actually 2 of the timelines give us the new world, right? So that's what all of the prophecies have been talking about, is the new world. But the new world is a new vibratory field on Earth. It's a better, more healthy and sustainable existence for all of us, not just humans, but also like all life on the planet. And so I've been seeing 3 timelines, and now it's gone from the 3 timelines down to 2 timelines. And originally the 3 timelines were, one was intervention from ETs in the event of a global catastrophe. That was the first one, people being saved. It was like a rescue mission, and it was pretty yeah, it was incredible. The next one was like the darker stuff, and what these dark entities, they're not human. They are not human. They run the world, and they are from another place. They're parasitic, and they are here to help us, even though they are also trying to destroy us. So the second timeline I saw was them accomplishing their domination, and it was pretty dark. It was very, very dark. But the third timeline that's been emerging is a new timeline that I actually have not seen until this year. And so that timeline I'm seeing more and more frequently in my visions, and I'm being prepared for it, which means that that is the timeline that we are on. And that is a crumbling of the old system, and people waking up and doing this on their own. The global shift into consciousness, people working together, like coming together and starting from scratch without these structures, the matrix that has been holding us back. So we create our own new world. And the specifics, I mean, it's going to take time for us to create this, but it already is made. It's already there. So we just have to be able to access it through our own process of ascension. So like in that new world, there's science and technology for the benefit of all. We have relationships with benevolent interdimensional beings. So that's ETs, that is beings from other dimensions, that's basically becoming part of the community, the intergalactic community. Um, so clearing the body and the mind for spiritual and psychic growth, and that is what we're doing right now. That is how we're doing our ascension, is getting ourselves physically, psychologically, and spiritually ready as we're growing. And as we do that, we'll start to see things around us more and more frequently. You'll be able to see things more and more frequently. It'll start in your dream space, and it'll actually carry over into reality, where there will be times, and it's starting to happen for some of us now, where we can see like little blips or orbs or things with our own two eyes. We can see things around us that we couldn't see before, and so we're starting to go into this higher field where we're just accessing other things, other realms. So one of the biggest parts about being able to do this is living without fear. So fear is what holds us back and keeps us in that matrix. And so working on living a fearless existence, I think that's super important. Because yeah, change is coming, and it can be scary because there's going to be big changes coming. But we have to really like practice a fearless existence, like living without fear. So there are going to be earth changes for sure. I've seen volcanic activity. I've seen electrical storms. I've seen all kinds of things. I've been told by the ETs about these earth changes. So we're going to be witnessing those things, which we already are, and we're going to keep witnessing them as we're going through these changes. But they just told me not to be afraid. Like, just as we're slowly going into our ascension, these things that seem like cataclysmic events will become less dangerous to us. I think there is a splitting. There's a splitting where it could be that the old world goes into a bit of a darker period, and this new consciousness split where we're going up into another place, another, like a second or a new earth. That's what I'm seeing it. I'm really seeing it clearly now. So spirituality meets science. So that's where we will be learning about the real science, about, all of the things that we should have known. It exists now around us, but we'll be learning all of this, how spirituality and science merge, and consciousness, and time and space travel, and all of these things. Like, we will have an incredible future with all of these things in place. Another thing I was told by the beings that I work with was that heart math. So I looked into it, and it is really, really, really interesting. Like, scientifically, they can measure the heartbeat and the frequency of the earth. And as our consciousness collectively goes to higher frequencies, they're able to measure it with devices all over the world. And heart math and the Schumann resonance are linked. So each of us has like a field energy that, through our heartbeat, through the sound and the vibration of our heartbeat, produces like a field around us. And basically how that works is it tunes into the frequency of the earth, and we're all connected through that. It's a big web. So heart math, I think that's important, that we keep an eye on like the Schumann resonance, which we're watching spiking off the charts, and we can actually gauge like what's going on spiritually, psychically around us through our heart energy field. So that's our other intuition. Like, we have our third eye, but our heart is also another way of seeing. And they actually have done studies on the human heart and have found tissue that is brain tissue, basically, in the human heart. And there's no other organ in the body aside from the brain that has these tissues. So that is sort of your second brain. Your heart is your second brain. or maybe it's your first brain. But it's very important, like, that we live in this heart space as much as we can. We just keep practicing. Like, we don't have to do this overnight, and we don't have to beat ourselves up if we're not doing our shift, as quickly as we want to, or we're not. Yeah, we just have to keep going through the process, and, like, don't judge yourself. You know, just baby steps. But how you can really gauge where you're at is, just take a moment and feel with your heart what's going on around you. You're able to calm yourself. You're able to control your breathing better. Like, just go into, like, a really heart-centered practice, meditating, breathing, just breathing, slowing it all down. And that's really important, because our heart, our vibration that we put out there is feeding into a quantum reality around us. And so if we are feeding it with fear and anxiety and all of those things, we are creating in through manifestation, we're creating and anchoring ourselves into a fear-based reality. So things that feed the fear, problems, danger, things like that, that will be what we will attract to us. So we have to be extremely conscious about the field that we're putting out there, what we focus on. So let me see what the next, okay, so going into I call them the reversed ones. So these are parasitic entities that have been here for a really long time. And I've done talks about them, and I've given them a lot of my energy. And so in this talk, I'm not going to go into it too much about what they are, but they are ETs. They are definitely not here to, like, help us, but in a weird, twisted way, they are helping us by shocking us into change. They're creating discomfort for us so that we grow and complete our ascension. And I believe that I believe that everything has a soul contract, whether it be a good or bad thing. So many of us may have had, like, a soul contract with these beings in order for our souls to be able to grow and evolve and experience as much as we could. So I do believe that there's soul contracts for them to come here and shake it all up, so that we would reach for the light more. So in a way, they're bringing us closer to God or the Creator. Like, so that's the way I see it, and I feel like that's why it's been allowed. So I believe that they were created by the same God. They do worship the same God, and they operate exactly as they were created to operate. So it's not a mistake, and it's not something that needs to be stopped. We just have to accept them for exactly what they are. They don't need to be destroyed. They exist for polarity. As you can see in the picture here, it's a yin yang, right? So we look at the yin yang. That's really a powerful symbol. And when we look at it, I believe that the Creator or God has created this polarity for balance across the universe, and it is absolutely perfect. And one creates friction with the other to create experience, and the Creator, himself, herself, itself, that Creator is experiencing through creation, through all of the beings that it has created, it is experiencing itself. So the friction is there to help with a very complex, very, very mind-blowing concept of creation and all that exists in creation. It is a divine balancing act. So I believe that's what's going on there. And I think we can honor it, but we can say, okay, so this is pushing me. This is pushing me to want to develop myself. I want to fulfill my calling, my soul contract to be here. why did I come here? I came here to help others and just to really focus on the light. And so we have to just stay really focused on our role here right now, because a lot of the people that are listening to this talk are light workers. They're people who are here. You guys are here to do this work. We're part of like the first wave, or the first line of light workers who are holding the frequency, waking people up. We're helping others through their ascension. And so we are definitely here to assist, because that's how we are. That's our souls. That's just how we operate. All right, so now this, I feel like I could go into this in a lot of detail, and so I may leave this open for another talk, because I've been taught while I am sleeping, I've been taught all of these different things. So I've been taught astral travel, and I have been taught about death and love's transcendence of it. So I was shown multiple times, I've been shown through either a near-death experience or a dream that mimics a near-death experience, and how the only thing that we take with us when we like leave our physical body is the love that we have had in our lifetime. So being shown that love is like the most powerful experience, and it actually comes with us. I've been shown the new earth and what it looks like. I've been shown a splitting and how we go there at different times. Some of us will go there when we think we're about to pass into the other world, and we like when we think we're about to die, and then we end up going into this new earth. There's people who are going there now. There are many ways to get there, and not everybody's going to go at exactly the same moment. So I can talk more about that as well. I've been shown how to do remote viewing, so like how to see things with your third eye. And I've gotten to the point where I actually found a missing child with remote viewing, so it's gotten really strong now. And so I'd love to like work with other people and teach people how to do these skills. I know a lot of you are probably already doing these things, or just beginning to, or maybe some people are pretty advanced with it, but it's definitely part of the new frequency, like what we are really capable of. So they also showed me about timelines and how like we can create and we can delete timelines with our thoughts collectively. Sort of like The Secret, you know, the power of thought and manifestation. And so we are on we're on a timeline now. It seems like it's bottlenecking into this new world, but it's important that we know about timelines, and we know that we can they can affect timelines, and we can affect timelines through collective manifestation and thought and visualization. So that's really important. And transmutation, I was shown how to transmute through color and sound. They showed me how to transmute like darkness into light. And I think that also applies for certain healing as well. And so, yeah, dreams and contact, that's a one that I explained already, where basically like we're being contacted in our dreams first, and they're prepping us to be able to handle meeting them face to face. So that's really important because we are slowly merging. Those two worlds are gonna, like when we're in the new world, the new frequency, there's gonna be a bit of a merging between reality and dreams. So I think that the barriers that we have up when we are awake will fall, and we'll be able to accept and see things. And it's just the new way of existing. It's the new frequency, the new earth. The next one is how to know what you're talking to. And that's important because some of us, when we are sleeping, we get interfered with. So we don't know if we're seeing a dream, like say if it's dark or whatever, it's scary. We don't know if it's a warning or if we're being like interfered with. And so like how to know what you're talking to. And I can just say like, I can go into it more another time, but how to know who you're talking to, it's what the feeling is. Like if you get, fear, if you have a vision or a dream that's really disturbing and gives you a lot of fear, then I think that, you're tapping into or being communicated to by something that maybe isn't so benevolent. So that's important that we know as we're building our gifts and as we're becoming more psychic and more clairvoyant, to know who and what we're talking to based on the feelings that we get in those interactions. So seeing 5D now, that's something that is happening as well, where you'll probably start to see like flashes of light while you're awake. You'll probably start to see things out of the corners of your eyes, like maybe something moves or you see a flash of light, or you might pick up on something, or you'll see it in your mind's eye. You'll see somebody or something trying to communicate with you, and that is the 5D. Like, so that is us going up into a higher frequency where we're just starting to access these higher realms. And so it's pretty exciting, and it's nothing to be afraid of at all. So yeah, like the next one is living out of the fear. So fear will stop us from all of these connections. Like it'll stop us from being able to access those higher frequencies. So even though there are things that are, that can be scary going on, when you watch the news or when you look in, for sources of information, there's a lot of people who are really scared, whether they're part of the freedom movement or whether it's the news, the mainstream media, or it still is fear because people don't really understand what's going on, and it's scary. And so we have to be the ones on the front lines who are practicing the transcendence of the fear and who are living and embodying the higher frequency. So yeah, I kind of spoke a little bit already about like seeing dimensions while you're awake. So that would be like the 5D frequency, and just seeing little glimpses of things that you may never have seen before, that's becoming more frequent. And when you're awake, you're seeing things. The other thing is people are starting to be able to communicate telepathically. It's stronger and stronger and stronger. And what I've noticed is a lot of children are able to do it. Like if I attempt to speak to them like telepathically, they often respond telepathically. And so I thought that was really cool. I noticed the kids are doing it right away. Like, so that could be the next wave that's come in. But we are all, as we ascend and as we're doing our awakening, we are beginning to be able to do these things more naturally. So you'll think of someone, they'll call you right away, they'll text you right away, or you'll think of someone, you'll bump into them the next day. And these are all things that are becoming more and more frequent. So that, yeah. So I can go into a lot more, trying to condense it into a quick summary. But here's my contact information, mothership1984@protonmail.com. And I have a website called thelightgridnetwork.com. I have had some issues with uploading videos to that website. So I don't have access to it right now, but I still have my old videos and things I've done previously that are on there. I tried to go through that. It's there's a lot to this. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'm sure you probably do.
That was very interesting, Crystal. A lot of the stuff that you've said, of course, you and I have had these conversations, and you know, I totally agree with you that we are holding the light. There's a lot of us here that came to do this, and some of us have really beaten ourselves up, especially as we're going into our 60s and 70s, and we feel that we haven't done enough. But I think just by the nature of our personalities and the experiences that we've had in the world, I think that you know, like say a rebellious nature or something, I think that we have open pathways, and we never need to beat ourselves up about how much we're doing or not doing, because a lot of the things that we are doing are unseen, and we don't ever really have an idea of how much we've influenced other people until somebody tells us. You know, I've had people come up to me, like friends of my children, say to me, oh, that conversation we had, you know, when I was graduating from high school has always stayed with me, and thank you so much. And it's like 20 years later, and someone remembers a conversation that you had with them. So I think that we really do need to trust that we are doing our work,